She said, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Kick me, Mildred."
And the biggest multimedia franchise in internet history was stillborn.
Starting as we mean to go on, dark and dirty.
Dear me.
Boys and girls, welcome to yet another Big Damn Cast. It's on the radio of your mind. My name is Chris. Can they really say that on television? Johnson.
And I'm taking my shoes off and putting my feet on your coffee table.
Nice. Feel free. I do it all the time. I catch myself doing it, tell myself off for doing it, and then go, sorry, it's my coffee table.
I'm also stroking the bitch.
Minnie sat next to him and he's giving her a lovely little tickle. We've got nerdy news, geeky gossip, all the usual shit. A bit of a heavier sort of main topic this week.
Yeah.
But it's something that we feel is worth discussing aloud and kind of putting into context. But first, Matthew.
Yes.
In the world of filth and nonsense and bollocks, what's out there in the media?
Well, we got an Instagram mention from friend of the show and general friend of friend. just nice friend, close personal and treasured friend, Charlie.
Oh, hello, Charlie.
And
I was waiting for you to be like, close personal friend, husband, really. Husband of the show.
Husband of the show.
A concubine of the show.
Not far off. And he was reacting to the news of Kevin Conroy joining the Arrowverse's Crisis on Infinite Earths. So live action Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne. And he wanted to know what our thoughts on it were. And I'm going to tell you. Charlie. I've requested what our thoughts on it are.
Here it comes.
Pretty fucking cool, right?
Yeah. I mean, right. Okay, so Kevin Conroy, for those who don't know, I'd be surprised if you're listening to this and you don't know who he is, but he's been the voice of Batman for about 90% of all Batman things since 92's Batman animated series. It was the Batman of the DC animated universe, Batman animated series, Adventures of Batman and Robin, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited.
And then, of course, the Arkham games.
Yeah.
We got a Conroy resurgence in the Arkham games, and that brought him to a whole new audience. Well, not a whole new audience, some new audience, and some old audience. It brought him to some audience.
An audience. Some
audience. I'll tell you this. I'd rather see live-action Kevin Conroy's Bruce Wayne than any more of Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne from the Titans Season 2 trailer, I'll tell you that.
Oh, good lord. So, dueling Batman news, in a way. Is Kevin playing Batman, or is he playing Bruce Wayne? Let's be honest.
What's the difference?
It's going to be a version. I mean, this Crisis on Infinite Earths has already got Burt Ward returning as Dick Grayson in some form. Probably not in actual tights and little booties going, holy cameo in the 2010s, Batman! But,
Brandon Routh returning as Superman.
Yeah.
Not the same Superman.
A different Superman.
Probably.
Well, yeah, because that's the Chris Reeves Superman, so it would be weird if they dictated the future of that version too.
No, I'm really surprised that they didn't ask Kevin Spacey to return as Lex. I can't even get that.
I mean, he's very available.
I couldn't even get that full sentence out. That's just a horrible thought, isn't it?
Pretty terrible in a way. Linda Carter is returning as Wonder Woman as well.
Wonder
Woman! There's rumours abound of X, Y, and Z doing this, that, and the other.
Rumours of Michael Rosenbaum returning as Lex, which he's publicly tweeted saying, not heard anything about it.
There's news to me.
News to me.
But, so Kevin Conroy finally entering Batman in a live-action capacity. If you want to get a sense of what that sounds wrong, entering him in a live-action capacity. If you want to get a sense of what that could be like, Tim Daly, one of the voices of Superman from the animated universe, did a sketch on his YouTube channel, which you need to look up. Just type in Tim Daly, Kevin Conroy. It's one of the top results, where basically Kevin comes to his house and they have an argument, sort of in character. And it's fully shot, like they're attacking each other and beating each other up in his house and
character.
Stuff. It's pretty great. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just delighted. And it's as weird as it sounds. I don't want him to retire as Batman, per se. But if after this he turned around and went, I think I'm done now. Like, I wouldn't hate that as a jumping off point for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't hate that. Oh, God, I've just seen what you're looking at. Good Lord.
breaking news, Chris, but finish your thought.
Oh, we're going to have to look at that in a second. Jesus. So, but also, as you said, Ian Glenn is playing Bruce Wayne and presumably his alter ego Batman, since we know Batman exists in this world, in the new upcoming season of Titans, which had its season 2 trailer this week, wasn't it? It wasn't even at Comic-Con. They waited till afterwards.
It's not even been officially released. It's just popped up on the internet just prior to us.
It's leaked.
Just prior to us.
Wow! So as of the recording, this is hot off the press and sexy and new and right now.
Yeah.
As of the release of this episode, it'll be old news. But Ian Glenn as Batman. I remember we talked about it ages ago when he was first announced he was going to be playing Bruce Wayne, and we were like, okay. Like, it depends on what they're going for. Yeah, his voice isn't really... Ain't no thing, baby.
Sounds like Ian Glenn.
Yeah. Also, the show looks like it's got a sense of humour and flair now, which completely undermines last year.
It might have had a sense of humour and flair?
No, it was self-serious last year.
I don't know.
Its main problem.
I didn't actually watch it.
I watched one episode and a batch of sort of essays on it and stuff, and it was too up its own arse and like, we're doing deadly serious. Robin saying "fuck Batman" and he means it. And it's like, this is laughable, and it was. There was some bad interpretations of the characters as well. But yeah, so Superboy and Crypto the Superdog and Deathstroke in a costume that doesn't look great. Has Deathstroke been outside of the Batman canon? Has Deathstroke been the most adapted into live action DC villain?
I guess.
Oh, aside from Lex Luthor, I guess. Lex Luthor and Batman's lot. Because Deathstroke is in... he was going to be in Matt Reeves' Batman, and then that version showed up in Justice League's post-credits scene. He's in Arrow. He's in Titans.
Yeah.
So that's at least 3 live-action interpretations of Deathstroke. He's been the main villain of a film, Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Yeah.
He has been the main antagonist, at least for the ad campaign of a major video game release, Batman Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
He's sort of out there, isn't he? They're kind of getting him out there more.
I was really disappointed with how they used him in the Arkham games. That boss fight in Origins is great, and then
the story gets hijacked by the Joker, and you're like, oh, okay. And then in Arkham, last thing in Arkham Knight, it would have at least felt like closure. But I guess that wasn't Rocksteady's. Thing to apologise for.
Why even use him at all then?
Yeah, don't use him. Don't have him. He could have just been any member of what they call Cobra or whatever, Tiger, something like that. Yeah. Militia. It was the militia in the last one. It just could have been a random member of the militia. And it would have been like, okay, that's fine. Like, dude in mask.
Whatever.
Yeah, it would have been better if you'd have fought him hand to hand. It would have been like, okay, that's cool. But whatever. Titans 2.
Since you mentioned Justice League, apparently there's been Warner Brothers Insider has been putting some news out there that the Snyder Cut is not in anywhere near a releasable state. So don't get your hopes up.
Oh yeah,
Zack Snyder started being a bit more vocal about what he had done with the film.
Yeah, kind of confirming his now ended involvement with it. Because Kevin Smith sort of accidentally stoked the flames last week when he was asked at one of his podcasts, like, so is there a Snyder Cut there? And he responded with like, yeah, because I've seen some of it. But what he saw was like dailies from the thingy,
early work prints.
But and he even says like, now I'm not saying that there's a complete film, but there's definitely a thing. It exists. I think what he meant by that was there was a vision. Vision. There will be versions of this project where that vision was the vision for it.
There will be.
And he says the most likely way you're ever going to see it, if it happened, would be if they released it as like an animated film based on Zack's concept. And it's like, that's not a terrible idea, but that won't stop them ever. The people who are obsessed with it will never stop obsessing over it until the day they die.
There will be a work print out there, which is a rough cut of Snyder's original film with unfinished VFX, temp score,
scenes missing that were going to be picked up later.
There will be a version of that floating around. You wouldn't want to watch it.
Yeah. Because it won't be good.
And it wouldn't be releasable.
Because the reason why people want it is because they're like, well, we hate Justice League because Joss ruined it. We want to see Snyder's true vision. It's like, yeah, but when you get out, I mean, if you enjoy Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, great, power to you. I wish I did. But when you sort of back away from it a bit, you might watch them one day, change your mind, then be like, why was I fighting for this?
Yeah, as someone who rewatched Justice League recently...
Well, rewatched or entertained a young gun by forcing it upon you and your partner.
Endured.
Another movie you forced onto your partner has also got some news we'll get to in a minute.
It's not good. It's not worth revisiting.
No.
All the good things in it are eclipsed by its thudding dullness.
All the good stuff shied. And the film is crap.
Which is frustrating because there is some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's just buried under so much dull bollocks that you don't really care. Speaking of dull bollocks, breaking news, Christopher.
Breaking news.
This notification literally just popped up, and I had to share it with you just for the lulls. Viacom, a massive company, giant entertainment and technology conglomerate, have just bought Garfield off Jim Davis. They've just bought Garfield.
Not Viacom are working with the studio to make Garfield products. Viacom have bought
the media
Garfield.
company has signed on for its subsidiary Nickelodeon to acquire Davis's Paws Inc., the company which holds rights to Garfield, as well as other Davis creations, including U.S. Acres.
Right.
Jim Davis is 74. And he's still doing the newspaper strip.
Yeah.
I only really bring this up because fucking Garfield is a joke at this point. But...
Well, maybe now it'll be spun into a cinematic universe. Oh, God.
Well,
Garfield has its place. Alright, Garfield has its place, and it's brought a lot of people a lot of joy over the, 40-odd years of its run. So fair enough. But he ain't he ain't Spider-Man. He ain't R2-D2.
Statement from Jim Davis.
Thank fuck!
Read between the lines. I'm delighted that Garfield is going to be placed in the capable hands of the folks at Nick. They know how to entertain and will be great stewards for the franchise. I am also excited to continue to do the thing that gets me out of bed every morning. The comic strip.
Oh, so he's not stopping anytime soon.
No, he's still doing the comic strip.
Oh, okay.
But here we go. Here's another statement from
Odie.
From Viacom Nickelodeon Consumer Products. President Pam Kaufman. Get this. Garfield is a global evergreen franchise that is a natural fit with Nickelodeon and our portfolio of iconic properties. With fans around the globe that span both kids and adults, we are excited to ignite Garfield into a multi-generational consumer products juggernaut.
How quickly can a sentence go from "When you wish upon a star" to "We're going to be building Westcott in 20 years and it's going to be a future club community"? Seriously, that sentence went from it's gonna be great. We can't wait to do stuff with this property that people really love and tell stories and make people laugh and turn it into a giant money-making machine.
And this is also there is precedent for this because Viacom back in 2009 bought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Len Eastman.
Okay, I guess that worked out.
Well, that's worked out okay.
Hang on, they bought it.
Mostly.
They bought it the year the series. No, oh, they bought it and then the series I Love started in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
But then they got rid of that and they're just going to keep rebooting it every 3 years.
Well, they can do that with Garfield. We'll get Mecha Garfield and Garfield in the 22nd century and.
So yeah, that's. I don't really care about Garfield. I just thought before.
Yes, you do.
Shit on Garfield.
You care about the Garfield you wish was real. You care about the 8-bit Game Boy game Garfield, where he's basically H.P. Lovecraftian.
Eldritch Abomination Garfield.
Bring me lasagna, John.
Where is my lasagna, John?
The bullets won't work, John. I never really liked you.
I can smell your fear, John.
I finally finished that the other day, by the way. The whole 13 minutes. Because when you showed it to me, you showed me, for context, there's someone online, these wonderful animators who do very retro-style stuff that's a bit creepy, did a Game Boy game version of Garfield, like a lost game.
But it's based on another artist's, renderings. Sketches of Garfield. There's this horrible Cronenberg, Lovecraftian, eldritch abomination creature. It's brilliant.
The full original run has been compiled into like a 14 minute video, and it is marvellous and disturbing. And I recommend everyone watch it. The ending really freaked me out. When he essentially consumes John, it's like, now we will be one. And he's saying it so lovingly as he grows giant flesh wings and flies into the skies.
Where's that Garfield?
Oh, God. Every design of him in it is horrifying.
Yeah.
Every design. I think the worst one's one where he just looks like a giant normal cat. Because it's just like, oh, God, that's weird. That's weird. Weirder than the CGI one in the two movies that Bill Murray was tricked into doing, because he thought it was a Coen brother who'd written it, and instead it was a Cohen brother.
A Cohen.
Because there are two writer-directors out there called the Cohens, and people think they're the Coens. That's how we can be successful filmmakers. We'll just call ourselves Spielberg. Just literally switch the E and the I around. Spielberg.
That's not gonna fool anyone.
Wouldn't it?
Except maybe Bill Murray.
Speaking of directors.
And fools.
Yeah.
Remember how everyone loved the Venom movie last year?
Oh, God.
Again, I recently subjected Kiki to that.
You did.
And
you're a horrible man.
It was just glorious to watch him become more and more and more irritated at the stupidity of this film.
See, on my planet, I am some kind of a loser, like you.
What?
Chocolate potato tots. Eddie? Like a turd. In the wind.
Andy Serkis is on to direct the sequel.
You heard that right, folks.
Andy Serkis on to direct the sequel. Ruben Fleischer, of course, not returning. Because why would you? And he tweeted...
Either they've given Andy Serkis a load of control, or, like, he's making it from the visual effects standpoint as well as directorially.
Tweeted himself with a little picture of Lethal Protector to be like, yo, I can't wait to start.
Oh, God.
Why?
Oh, God. So Tom Hardy returning, presumably.
Tom Hardy presumably returning. I would imagine they're going to bring the star of the post-credits teaser back. Because why would you do that if you weren't gonna? But we'll see.
Michelle Williams coming back?
I wouldn't.
I mean, Riz Ahmed has the excuse that he was, like, the villain.
I was dead at the time.
Yeah, I'm gone now. Goodbye. Oh, God, just... Oh, no. No.
No, sorry, I can't. What is it, scheduling conflict? Yeah. I've got...
laundry.
Stuff on. Actually, I don't know what Riz Ahmed's working on. I should look at
anything else other than Venom 2, I think is what the CV says.
I'm more interested for whatever Riz Ahmed's doing next time for Venom 2. But we're going to see it because Morbid Fascination.
Morbius Fascination.
Oh, no, let's not even talk about that shit.
Oh, come on. Venom 2 is the third in this ongoing series of non-Spidey films by Sony.
Do you think we're going to get a Venom Morbius crossover?
Yes.
If we get a Venom 3, is it going to?
Because I guarantee Disney are currently wrestling Craven off of their interest list so they can use him in the Far From Home sequel.
You reckon?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
director has expressed interest in Craven more than once since Homecoming came out.
Do you think they would use the new status quo that is revealed at the end of Far From Home as an excuse to bring Craven in to
wrangle him
down the Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
The Man Spider.
Yeah, I kind of want him to be the Australian TV star version from Ultimate.
Yeah, but
like Dog the Bounty Hunter for superheroes.
But pull a switcheroo on you by making you think that he's that, but he's actually really dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be quite good. And also, if you're having Craven in it, it's an excuse to get the Rhino in it. And by the Rhino, I mean the actual Rhino, not poor unfortunate Paul Giamatti in a mech suit.
I mean, still get Paul.
I am the Rhino.
Still get Paul Giamatti to do it.
Yeah.
But
redeemed.
Put him in a big Rhino suit.
Yeah.
An actual Rhino suit, not a mech suit that looks like a rhino.
God.
Put him in the Rhino suit.
Put him in the suit. Put him in a big Rhino suit.
Is there anything we want from Venom 2. And don't say, no, we don't want it made, because that's not the question.
Interesting stories of how the production falls apart and the film never comes out, but we still get a documentary about it.
It's going to happen. Venom 2's coming out.
I don't want it.
There's nothing you can do about it!
I don't want it.
Andy Serkis is directing Venom 2.
Good lord.
It's happening. Are you ready? Are you ready for love?
No, but what I am ready for is an Event Horizon TV series.
Yeah, this is a weird one. This is a weird one. This is apparently Amazon and Paramount TV are looking into a TV series adaptation of the 1997. So it was even earlier than we thought it was when we were talking before the show. 1997 sci-fi horror film Event Horizon, aka the one really good movie Paul W.S. Anderson ever made. Well, we also made Mortal Kombat, so Mortal Kombat's pretty good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There's precedent.
Yeah. So this was before he fell down the Resident Evil hole and just made Resident Evil
also known as Mila Jokovich's vagina.
Oh!
Hey!
No!
Up top?
No!
Up top?
No!
Come on, there was no other circumstance where that was going to make sense.
No!
It was crude.
No!
It was crass and rude.
Yeah.
I regretted the actual joke, but I do not regret taking the chance to tell that joke.
Christopher Johnson, you're cancelled.
Come on! They got married. They met on the film and got married. They were definitely bumping uglies.
No.
Oh, God. I'm not saying she has a cavernous vagina. Nor am I saying he's small enough to fall into a vagina.
Listen, if you could just make dumb movies with your supermodel wife, you kind of would, wouldn't you?
No.
Really?
I'm not making dumb movies with his supermodel wife.
No. If you were in Paul W.S. Anderson's shoes,
I'd be like, these don't fit. He's notoriously small and I'm a size 11.
You'd be in very expensive shoes.
Oh,
bought with the blood of franchises. So yeah, apparently they're looking at doing a series of this. Adam Wingard is apparently producing and directing.
What a dirty man.
Adam Wingard, for those who don't know, is currently in post-production on Godzilla vs. Kong. But his other work has kind of been mixed to good. The best thing he's probably done has been You're Next.
Yes.
Which is a great little...
creepy horror movie.
People
in woodland creature masks.
He followed that up with The Guest, starring Dan Stevens, which I've not seen, but apparently is pretty good. Did a couple of segments for the original VHS and the sequel, along with the ABCs of Death, so they're like short film anthologies. And then recently also did Blair Witch, which was fine.
It was a thing.
Did you see the new Blair Witch?
No, I heard
it's not bad.
I heard I loved their ballsy marketing stunt.
Yeah.
That it was announced as a different film altogether, and then 2 weeks before its release was Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And at Comic-Con they unveiled, actually it's Blair Witch, and here's a walkthrough experience for everybody who's here.
Yeah.
And it was really freaky. People went, that was terrifying, and they showed some footage. And this looks great.
I mean, a lot of it is a retread of the original, and knowingly so.
Yeah, so it's kind of like 2011's The Thing, in a way. It's sort of a companion piece.
And it is also a straight-up sequel.
Yeah. But
an explicit sequel.
Near enough shares the name, and hits very similar beats along the way.
But also ramps it up in the ways that you'd expect a sequel to do so. To mostly good results. It's pretty good.
Does it ignore or openly shun Book of Shadows?
I haven't seen Book of Shadows. So if it does reference Book of Shadows, I don't know how.
Okay.
But from what I do know of Book of Shadows, I don't think it does.
Okay. Isn't it interesting that is now a trend? Horrors getting sequels that ignore
Horrors
the
getting
other
sequels that ignore the sequels and or are TV shows.
Yeah. What you're saying is...
He also did the Death Note movie for Netflix.
Oh, okay, fuck that guy.
So...
the direction was one of the things that made that terrible. The script was the key. It was the big one. The casting was another. But the direction, the pacing, the cinematography, the CGI, it was not a good film.
It really could go either way.
Like, I finished that movie and then immediately read through the first few volumes of the manga and went, no, this is good.
Yeah.
What I'm reading right now is amazing. What I saw on screen is garbage!
I mean, I just don't understand why, like, there was this... Because part of the reason why Event Horizon is as well remembered as it is, because it didn't do well on release.
Oh, no.
It didn't do well critically, it didn't do well financially. But it was got a cult following on video release. I love it. I love it to bits. I'll go to bat for Event Horizon any day of the week. But part of the reason that it is sort of remembered as well as it is it had all this like really over the top body horror gore stuff that was shot and a bunch of it was lost and not much of it actually remains in the film. But what there is in there is really visually exciting and strong. Like, exciting is the wrong word because it's, gnarly stuff. But it gives the whole movie a certain feel and flavour, which makes it stick in the mind. It's absolutely the most characterful thing Paul W.S. Anderson's ever done. Like, if he brought half the sensibility that he had in this to Resident Evil, those would have been way better movies.
Yeah. But instead...
he's
just poking his wife.
Milla Jovovich. No, it's not her fault.
He was sticking his tiny body into her cheddar gorge-sized vagina.
I do not believe there is a correlation between the lack of quality and the increasing poor quality of the Resident Evil movies and Milla Jovovich. I don't think that she's the cause for that.
Oh, no.
Or her relationship with Paul W.S. Anderson is the cause for that either.
Well, how much time were they actually rehearsing?
We'll see how Monster Hunter does.
Will we?
Because they're doing that together. So.
Oh! Who's she playing in Monster Hunter?
Mm.
Is that them going, well, we've done our films together, now let's move on. Should we do another film together?
It's them doing, like, we're going to adapt another Capcom franchise together. So, yeah. But I just don't understand why you would do... Like, the film has a reputation for being, hyper-violent. Like, it's got that hyper-violent sense of gore to it.
Mm.
In the same way that they're talking now about doing Hellraiser as a TV series as well.
That would be neutered to hell.
Yeah. So what...
It depends on the network, though, actually.
No, because...
Stars did a phenomenal job with Ash vs. Evil Dead. Like, that show does not hold back on visceral, disgusting imagery. But it also is a comedy show, so that kind of lightens it a little.
Well, Little Lies of the second season of American Gods really ramps up that aspect of it as well.
Okay. There was quite a bit of that first season.
They also did a lot of boring stuff with it.
Hence why, what little you've seen in American Gods season 2.
Fucking that entire episode, which is just flashbacks about Shadow's mum. It's like, I don't care!
As a culture, are we over the flashback episode now?
It depends on
I feel
execution.
like those seem to be the ones that stand out now when people say, oh, I hated that episode.
Well, I've got nothing against flashback as a device, as a storytelling device.
But I think when it comes to streaming television, it feels like they're wasting the momentum by reversing. Because it's usually at a point where everything's gearing up.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean...
Oh, that's it. It's because we're in a binge. It's because we're in a binge mindset nowadays.
Well, this is what... The things I've watched on streaming recently, I've resisted binging them.
Yeah,
I've made myself watch no more than a couple in a go, because if I binge it, I'm just going to be like, it's just going to all blend into one. And I want it to feel... It's why I quite enjoyed Chernobyl. Because it was only 5 episodes, and I had to wait.
Yeah. Just wait each week.
Like, even though it didn't end particularly well, even though I had problems with it, part of the reason I enjoyed watching the last season of Game of Thrones. Even though, we've talked about the ending at length and where it failed.
It's because you invested week by week.
You invested week by week, and you didn't know you couldn't just up on the next one. So I think it depends. I think it depends on the show. Like with Jessica Jones, the last season of that, I think we did that in like 4 sittings. So we spaced it out pretty nicely. It took us a week and a half or so. So I think there is that aspect to it. But like Jessica Jones season 2 has at least 1 episode worth of flashbacks. But it really worked within the context of that story because it came at the right time
in
to flesh out
in Jessica's and Trish's relationship and everything,
and some of the other characters that pop up in that season as well. It fleshes out their sort of story. But whereas the example I use from American Gods just spends an episode in flashback.
Yeah.
And it doesn't relate to anything that's happening in the present of the story. It's just stuff. It just felt like filler.
Feels like they do it nowadays because the next episode, something's going to happen to a character that requires you to know their backstory for the impact to hit.
Yeah.
But it's like, show, don't tell. And when you do a flashback episode, sure, you're showing, it's a visual medium.
But you're actually telling
way more.
Like, in terms of the structure of what you're actually
you're
doing.
Going, what you need is this. Hang on, you need to know this. You say, okay, you got it? Good, bye. Instead of feeding that to us gradually over the course of it through a natural way.
Like you would be being fed your own entrails in a Event Horizon goal sequence if it was a film, but maybe not so much in the rumoured TV version.
Ah! You brought it back.
Yes. What? Because we've had it with this. These people, they're talking about doing it with Hellraiser. They've just done it with Critters.
Yeah.
What is it with the sudden desire to bring back horror franchises as TV shows?
Nostalgia.
Ash vs. Evil Dead, of course.
Yeah. Nostalgia and specific boners. People have very specific thresholds for arousal. And one of them is bringing back their teenage video nasties.
The Purge has continued as a TV show.
Oh, it's in canon? I didn't know that.
I think so. Well, I don't know, because
Because a lot of them do that. Sorry, a lot of them do that, don't they? Where they do a continuation, but they're not canon, like Bates Motel.
I think it probably takes place concurrently with the first... Like, because... I don't know the timeline of The Purge. It's like, there's 3 of them and then a prequel? Is that right?
Probably.
Purge... The Purge sequel, which I can't remember the name of, Election Year,
yeah,
and then the first Purge,
yeah.
And I think the show fits in the timeline of like the first 3 movies, maybe like post the Purge,
okay,
pre-Election Year. I don't know.
Something serial killers.
Yeah, like
something. The first Purge.
They're either reviving old shows or continuing. Reviving old franchises or continuing recent franchises.
Critters. That Critters series has nothing to do with the films.
Oh, we just said Critters, yeah.
But now there's that film coming out that is apparently the 5th film.
Well, it's out, yeah.
That has nothing to do with the series.
All the films, apparently.
Why?
Because Dee Wallace Stone is in it, but apparently she's not the same character she was in the first one.
Why? Oh, I don't know.
It's weird.
Don't know.
It's weird.
I don't understand anything anymore.
I think it's partly of its original programming for streaming services. But...
Well, unoriginal, because they're all IPs.
Yeah. But, they want to get recognisable things for it.
To sell.
I think Critters, The New Binge, which the TV series was Shudder's first original series.
Yeah, but it's a great title. For a streaming TV project, Critters, The New Binge.
Yeah.
Good work, but...
Good back.
Terrible trailer.
Yes. So, Christopher.
Needle pulling thread, Matthew.
Needle pulling thread. We have been plunged again into one of the great debates of our time. As another tragic bout of gun violence in the States.
Yeah, 2 over the course of the last week.
Jesus Christ.
As of this is the depressing thing. I have to state this. As of this recording on the 6th, because you never know at this point. Saturday, a shooter killed 20 people in a Walmart store in El Paso, Texas.
Fucking hell.
In what the authorities have said appeared to be a racially motivated hate crime. Let's call it what it is. An act of racial terrorism.
Yeah.
An act of white nationalist terrorism.
Yeah.
And hours later, another gunman killed 9 people in Dayton, Ohio. So, we're not going to delve too deeply into the incidents themselves because this is a comedy podcast, ultimately end of the day, comedy and news. It's not our place to start deliberating all the specifics of why things have happened, other than, of course, we can acknowledge quite happily and I say happily, reluctantly really, because it's the fact that we even have to talk about this sort of stuff is disgusting, but we can acknowledge that it's an act of tragedy, 2 acts of horrific tragedy with unnecessary loss of lives. Every loss of life is unnecessary, let's face it, but like, these were acts of violence committed by horrible people. And one of them is showing clear evidence of being completely racially motivated.
Yeah.
The climate in the US, at the minute, the political climate, and as a result, like the social political climate and everything, is in a state where racists are being everything but discouraged.
Yeah. There's this time bomb, basically, over there.
They're being they're either being encouraged or subliminally given the go-ahead through dog whistling. Now, are we accusing President Trump of being a racist?
Yes.
No, because we don't have to. He's obviously a racist.
Yeah. And, you know, our Prime Minister isn't much better.
Yeah, we've got a sack of shit who's in charge as well, who said horrible
isn't
things.
Better.
Oh,
isn't any kind of better.
Like, we're not going to get into all that entirely, but, like, suffice to say, our stance on it, and if you disagree politically, that's fine. You're not wrong, and neither are we. We are just fighting for the side that isn't monstrous twats.
Unless you're a racist, in which case you are.
In which case you are wrong.
So,
but yeah, it's demonstrable, horrible.
It's brought back the old debate of what causes these
acts of violence, and Trump has specifically listed that they need stronger background checks, which the Republican side of the US government have never really fought for because reasons, which we'll mention in a minute.
Because the NRA spends a lot of money lobbying against gun control.
Yeah, and backing Republican candidates and departments. Mitch McConnell, who at this point could have made so many decisions that could actually have helped prevent more gun crime, hasn't. And it may or may not have something to do with the fact that he's got like 31 million in investments from the NRA during like his current stint.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's not going to lobby against the state. Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, we in the UK take a look at it and go, you know why this doesn't happen over here? We don't sell guns.
Yeah. But
to Joe public.
The thing that does still happen over here is it's less publicly visible. But the thing that does still happen over here is private interests buying politicians.
Yeah.
With lobbyists, you know, influencing the government.
Political parties, the direction of certain laws and restrictions.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening over there with the NRA. It's got its foothold so much into it. There's also an inbuilt defensiveness toward the vague assertions of the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, which is every citizen has a right to bear arms. When the Constitution was put together, people were living in different districts, towns, villages. People were stealing livestock. People were like occasionally committing horrible acts to take over or dismantle smaller towns for their own gain. That's what that was about.
Yeah.
It wasn't, well, everybody's got to have a gun because the other fellow might have a gun. It was, you're right, you're allowed to have a gun because we are unfortunately living in a version of America right now. Oh, God. I'm talking about 200 odd years ago, depressingly still fits, where you are in danger of people attacking you and trying to take what's yours in a lethal way. So
we need those assault weapons because...
Yeah, but the Constitution could be amended. That's why they're called amendments. Oh, God. But also hunting as well back then. Like, that was how they did the hunting.
But
so
also, you don't need an assault rifle to go
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. Commercially available are handguns that are insanely quick to reload, assault rifles, automatic weapons. That is...
Even if you've got a semi-auto rifle, there are things called bumper stocks, which was used in the Las Vegas shooting a couple of years back, which basically uses the gun's own recoil to turn it from a semi into a fully automatic weapon because it allows it to bounce off the stock.
Yeah.
So you can get things like that which will make a semi AR-15 a full auto AR-15 essentially.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, if you got rid of them alone, you'd be reducing the incidence of gun accidents and gun crime and gun attacks and terrorism on American soil. You'd be cutting it down by like 90%.
Why do you need those? Why do those need to be sold?
Because, Matt, we have the right to bear arms, Matt. We have the right to bear arms. What if my family gets attacked in the night by someone with a gun? What are you going to do? Well, I'll use my gun. Or why do you think he has a gun? Because I have a gun. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Now, if you didn't have a gun, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying if no one had a gun, access to a gun in their home, it's very likely that people committing small crimes like robbery also would not have access to a gun.
I mean, gun crime.
Do you know what else happens
in the UK?
Oh, your gun crime does happen across the world, but in countries where guns are not sold to Joe Public, background check or not, or whatever, it is either 0 or next to 0. It's definitely below double digits. Incidents of fatal gun attacks or accidents.
And mass shootings are basically non-existent.
Non-existent outside of the US, yeah.
Because that's the areas that are in states of open war.
There might be someone from the US listening to this who's a very firm believer in the Second Amendment, and you'll be saying to me, what about you lot over there in London? You've got all that knife crime. One, America, specifically Trump, have been blowing that out of proportion for their own narrative. And two, of course London has knife crime. Every major metropolitan city around the world has knife crime. But you know what the difference between knife crime and gun crime is? You can't walk into a room of 40 people holding a knife and kill them all by standing near the doorway and pointing the knife at them.
Yeah. Also, knives are tools.
Yeah.
Guns are
weapons.
Just guns.
But what if they're for hunting? What is hunting? Shooting and killing something. Cool.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Maybe a hunting tool, but it still is built to kill. So, if you get stabbed by someone, you have a much stronger chance of making it out alive than you do being shot by someone.
Yeah.
If someone stabs you in between the ribs, you're in danger. It could be a fatal incident.
Yeah.
But you have at least 50-50 chance of getting out of that situation and living to see another day. Someone shoots you between the ribs, you're dead. A major lung or a major organ like your lungs or your heart is pierced, or your spine is shattered, or you go into cardiac arrest from just the shock of the pain.
We don't need to go into the details of how badly a gunshot fucks your body up.
But what the government are doubling down on, because they're frightened.
And
they're frightened to fight back against.
And the reason that we're talking about this,
on the Big Damn Cast, the show which opened with us making weird, wacky jokes about nonsense. Weird and wacky, remember?
Yeah,
wacky action.
Is
because Trump's administration put out the statement that it was down to they wanted increased gun control. It's like bullshit. You'll have lobbied against that for forever. Specifically, background checks to stop guns getting into the hands of mentally ill people.
Cool. There's not already enough of a stigma around mental health.
Yeah, well done, Trump. And also stop the outreach and accessibility of violent video games.
Oh, yeah. All those violent video games that are inciting people to commit acts of racially motivated domestic terrorism.
Do you know who the least violent people in the world are? Gamers. Do you know why?
I haven't got that far.
No. Do you know why? As a whole. Because they're all agoraphobic. They stay indoors and play their games.
Don't get me wrong. There are some real shitheads in what you would call the gamer.
Yeah. Oh
community.
God. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There is a huge toxic part of the fan base of many video games.
But those people are not the ones going out and committing acts of terrorism.
No. These things are not happening because video games are violent. We had the same discussion about movies.
Let's see if I can
as a
pull
society
it up,
years and years back. But the video games thing goes back to the mid-90s because they actually had congressional hearings with things like Mortal Kombat and Night Trap, of all things. Now, I don't know if you know what Night Trap is, Chris, but I'm going to tell you about Night Trap.
Oh, I know Night Trap.
So Night Trap is one of the games that was held up as an example of this is the violent video games that are threatening our children and inciting them to violence. It was a fucking FMV game where you had to trigger traps to stop like what looked like putties from the Power Rangers from kidnapping quote unquote teen girls from like a dorm party.
Just to reiterate,
violent.
The aim of the game was to stop that happening.
Yeah.
So, if anything...
Through, really, you've got to watch them come through, and oh no, you've got to press the button as they're about to walk over the trapdoor, and oh, you missed the trapdoor, and now Stacy gets taken, or whatever, I don't know.
So if someone's being influenced by that game, what they're actually going to be influenced to do is protect people from murderers.
Now, something
in non-violent ways.
Something like Mortal Kombat, I can understand a bit better.
Yeah, when the beat-em-up genre first rolled around, I can understand people going, you're just hitting other people. But hey, I bet the same people complaining about it were betting on the boxing.
Mortal Kombat was
watching wrestling.
It was violent to the point of being cartoon. They just made it as violent as possible to see what they could get away with.
Yeah, with these polygons and pixels,
and it
not real people.
But it absolutely was not inciting people to violence. It's not, and the amount of studies out there.
Oh yeah,
that there are the psychological medical studies that have gone on to prove that violent media does not, to any real degree, influence people's behaviour is astonishing. But still, anytime something horrific and violent happens, it's just misdirection. They're just taking the blame away from the things that are actually to blame they don't want to deal with. Placing it on media and the art.
Some of them believe it, and some of them are using it as a scapegoat, as a distraction.
Well, do you remember Jack Thompson? Crazy old Jack Thompson, the lawyer who really had it out for violent video games.
Fuck yes.
He eventually got disbarred.
Yeah.
Because he was real weird. But he was mainly active in the late PS2, early 360 era. Was when he was most sort of vocal.
GTA 4 was a big target of his, if I remember correctly.
Because GTA is one of those, you can do some horrendous shit in GTA, and every time a GTA game comes out, there's the uproar is you're letting your children kill prostitutes in the street. It's well, why is your kid playing GTA for one thing?
Yeah.
Because age ratings in games come from the congressional hearings that were brought about by the sort of Mortal Kombat Night Trap stuff. That was what led to the creation of the ESA and the ESRB, and
Peggy over here and
Peggy
stuff,
over here. Well, originally it was the BBC. It was Peggy European and then the BBFC originally, and then around 2008, the BBFC they realised that there was a loophole somewhere where the BBFC ratings on video games weren't actually legally binding.
Oh, so that's why you suddenly stopped getting 18 certificates.
They stopped putting the BBFC stuff on all of them, and you suddenly started getting Peggy stuff.
I was going to say a load of my PS3 games have got BBFC
but that's why you don't
certificates on the side.
That's why you don't see BBFC certificates on video games anymore.
God,
Peggy ones. Because I was working at Blockbuster at the time.
Ah, of course.
I was oh dear.
Oh,
we're going to put Peggy things in all the games now, but
maybe if a parent asks you if this suitable for their kid, maybe use it as a guideline, but you can't say that it's definitely a 15. Okay, bye.
Then the Peggy ones were you can get in trouble for selling a 15 or 18 Peggy rated game to someone underage, but the parents don't give a fuck.
Well, that's the thing.
In the majority,
that's because they
But in the
pretty
same
much everybody gets hold of stuff that's not for their age when they're younger, and a lot of people go through that and don't come out of it acting up or anything or trying to emulate stuff. They come out of it going, "I know it's fantasy, and I feel cool because I've got to experience some of this."
I think we were both exposed to a lot of violent action and horror cinema.
My mum let me watch
Tim
Burton's Batman from the age of 5.
Yeah.
Tim Burton's Batman is a 15 certificate in the UK. It contains some very scary violence and moments of actual freaking weird trauma and.
I'd seen Aliens before I got out of primary school.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. But
I'm Predator for that matter.
But the thing is, keeping into games, the way these things are executed are different now. 10-year-old me, I think, should never have been allowed to play. Did it exist then? This level of I wouldn't give a 10-year-old now GTA 5.
Well, we do see that argument
for example.
sort of get
like, I wouldn't
every
do that.
time there's
not
a
because of influence
leap.
per se, but just because I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't for you.
Well, every time there's a generational leap, you see that argument come back. Like, and we had it with the Wii when it introduced motion controls. There was a big thing with Manhunt 2 being censored over in Europe. Because like, oh well, you're actually physically doing the motion of these melee kills, like garroting someone and stuff like that. So we're gonna make edits to that to make and
got banned over here in the end, didn't it?
No,
they
it
just
just
took it off the shelves, didn't they?
No, Manhunt 2. It did come out, but it was.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, like was there a recall of some earlier editions or something like that? And then
no, I think that might have been with the original Manhunt on PS2. But Manhunt 2 out over here only came out on the Wii.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I can understand them nerfing some of the actions then.
Yeah, and again, the studies that there are out there all sort of point to it not being an influence. But I think they just wanted to play it safe, and it comes up again recently when the big jump to VR came along.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh well, you're in VR and you're doing horribly violent things. Is that gonna be a behavioural influence? And it's not. Again, it's none of that is borne out.
I've got some examples here of them. Virtual entertainment. This is from Polygon.
Yeah.
Virtual entertainment worlds have become the patsy for very real firearms.
Yes.
This is verbatim from this article. Given that games have been almost universally popular among boys and young men for the last 30 years, this does not seem at all extraordinary. Generally, other factors have been more obvious or notable to law enforcement officials and reporters, including antisocial or obsessive behaviour and a history of mental health issues. Columbine. On April 20th, 1999.
This is one of the early ones.
High school seniors Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold murdered 12 students and a teacher. They both enjoyed playing games like Doom and Quake, which were popular at the time.
Yep.
Both the killers had wide-ranging cultural interests, including dark music, unquote, computers, and
heavy
drama.
metal, fucking, of course.
They were bullied, often in trouble. Both kept journals, either written or video-based, in which they detailed their plans. They were both intensely interested in bombs and firearms. There's a difference there between they loved video games, so they killed people, and they loved video games. They also had an intense interest in bombs and firearms.
And you would think
like
that
one of those things is actually going to cause loss of life.
You would think that there would be a increased amount of that from like when Call of Duty and such became more and more popular. But I think it was less of a thing from video games and more of a general cultural shift towards, again, particularly in America, the glorification of the military.
Yeah.
Partly because when America were at war again, and have kind of constantly been in a state of semi-war since 2000.
At least occupations.
Since
stuff,
2003. Like, they never really stopped being at war.
Heath High School, December the 1st, 1997, 14-year-old Michael Carneal shot to death 3 students. He'd been a target of bullies and suffered from a variety of diagnosed mental illnesses. He enjoyed video games. The parents of the victims subsequently sued multiple organisations they saw as carrying blame for his actions, including game companies. Their lawsuits were not successful.
No.
Sandy Hook, December 14th, 2012.
Oh, yes, of course.
Adam Lanza killed 20 children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut.
Horrendous.
He was a loner with known mental health issues and a fascination of mass shootings. Again, let's point this out. Mental health issues, okay.
Yeah.
And a fascination of mass shootings.
It's
there are 2 things there, and only one of them is blatantly connected to the act.
The fact that these things happen in the States so often that it's become its own sort of subclass of crime.
He spent a lot of time in his basement playing a wide variety of video games. Eventually discovered his favourite game was Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
So any argument there of like video games warped his mind, the dude's favourite game...
Dance Dance Revolution.
Thingy. No. What happened was, through circumstances, the dude committed a monstrous act.
It would be the same way as... it'd be the same thing as banning Die Hard.
Yeah. Yeah! We don't want to encourage people to crawl through vents. What?
Die Hard is a violent film that glorifies violence. But it is a film. It is fiction. And I think most people, even most people with... And again, I can't speak for everyone here, but most people with sort of mental illnesses that are that they have a handle on appreciate that and understand that. And I don't think anybody, unless they are in a very, very susceptible, suggestible state, is going to be influenced to violence by fucking Die Hard.
It's just
certainly not to the point where they're going to... And if they are, you know what you don't do? You don't give them easy access to fucking military-grade firearms. That's what you don't do. But no, by all means, please blame it on Doom.
I mean, other mediums, for example, like times where art has been connected to a murderer because a murderer has claimed that the art is an inspiration to them.
But these things have never been John Lennon.
Mark Chapman had a strange obsession with
Catcher in the Rye. It's like that book made me shoot John. No, it fucking didn't.
John Hinckley Jr., the man who attempted to assassinate President Reagan, was obsessed with actor Jodie Foster.
Oh yeah, that was a really weird.
So
one.
do we ban Jodie Foster because she was an inspiration to this guy who tried to kill someone?
I mean, he was a mess of problems because Jodie Foster was underage at the time. Because he would have got obsessed with it. I think he got obsessed with her off the back of Taxi Driver, where she plays like a teenage prostitute, but she was like 13 or something in that movie.
Yeah, oh god, it was around that time. Here's other killers have mistakenly been connected with video games.
Yeah.
So this is where the narrative
because now the media takes hold of it and they go, oh, well, we're going to put these two things together. And like, don't get me wrong, there are problems with violence in video games, particularly against women. I like video games, but I accept that the medium has a problem with violence, as do movies. Like, I'm sick of seeing sexualized violence against women in video games and movies.
Yeah.
But they are not causing that kind of violence in people.
Yeah. People cause violence in people.
People cause violence in people. Funnily enough.
One of the mistaken cases, for example, is in the aftermath of the Virginia Tech shootings in 2007.
Yeah.
It was reported that Seong-hee Cho, the perpetrator who killed 32 people, was an avid fan of multiplayer shooter Counter-Strike. This was later completely debunked by his roommate, who says he had never seen Cho play a video game.
Now, Counter-Strike is an interesting example because Counter-Strike was one of the early examples of that sort of fetishistic approach to military hardware in video games that later came through in stuff like COD 4. Because Counter-Strike originated as a mod for the original Half-Life, which got rid of all the sci-fi trappings and replaced it with realistic military hardware in a realistic real-world setting, and was very focused on like team-based tactical action. And that has become wildly popular. But the thing, see, I have a bit of an addictive personality, and I have a problem with getting addicted to games. If a game was inciting me to violence, I wouldn't be able to fucking perpetrate it. Because I'd be too busy playing the fucking video game. You know what I mean?
It's like, God, I love hacking these demons away with this chainsaw. If only I could do that in real life. But
no, I'm doing it.
I'm going to spend another half an hour on Doom.
Yeah.
Or maybe another half hour.
Oh my god, it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
The whole thing. Video games have become the scapegoat because there are discussions. There are discussions to be had. There are discussions to. No, but it's true. Like it's. I mean, I get like that. If especially with first person, not first person shooters or whatever. I mean, like first person narratives, single player narrative games. If I get fully engrossed in it, I will be up till 4 a.m. from 9 p.m. playing it. Like
I'd have to check.
But I don't come away from playing God of War wanting to take a young boy out on a mission to behead people who I claim to be gods.
It's laughable. And again, I'd have to look up some studies for this. I don't know if there are any studies in this area, but I would hazard a guess that there is more of a correlation between people who play a lot of video games not getting things done.
Yeah.
And there are people who play a lot of video games actually getting things done.
Yeah.
So, just from that that thing alone, someone who is going to be is of influenceable enough state of mind to be influenced to violence by a video game probably isn't going to be able to get themselves again. wild generalisation, complete guess. I would have to look at studies for that. That's just the way that's the way my mind approaches it based on my own experiences and the people I know. So it's a very small sample group. But that's my thought on that particular. I just think it's. Are there any other interesting examples?
The sad thing is there are numerous ones, and that's kind of why I've stopped reading it. Really, because I'm just like, it's upsetting.
Yeah. It's a lot,
and the fact that it's not just the US government, of course, but in this instance it is. But the fact that the government's put more of a negative stigma on mental health issues by claiming that it's mentally unwell individuals. It's like, yeah, that may be the case. Do not fucking just give it that blanket statement description.
And it's cyclical, because we saw the same thing in the late 70s, early 80s with the whole video nasties thing.
Yeah.
Where waves of, like, admittedly, mostly pretty terrible and schlocky, like, gore-fest horror movies were either censored or banned or not in as much... Not so much banned as just not released.
Yeah.
There's a difference between censoring something and banning something and just not bothering with it.
Yeah.
Like, not even putting it out. Those movies weren't inciting violence in people. They weren't influencing people. It was just a scapegoat, because society was changing into a more violent place, and people didn't understand why, because they didn't want to confront. And politicians don't want to confront socio-economic change. They don't want to confront the class divide as being a motivator for rising crime and violence. They don't want to accept that this is all leading to people being less able to manage their mental health and developing mental health problems, and that creating behavioural anomalies. Anomalies is the wrong word, but creating different behavioural patterns in people and society. They just want to blame it on a film, because then they can go, we'll ban that, and then all the problems will go away, rather than actually fixing the root problem.
Yeah.
And what is the root problem in the States at the moment? And to a lesser degree here, again, we don't have the same access to guns, so we don't have the same rate of violent gun crime. Funny that. But it's that thing that's being seeded by politicians. Essentially, and by the news media, not by the fiction media, not by video games, not by movies, not by TV, but by the quote-unquote truth. The truth that we see in media. What's being pushed down our throats is that turning groups of people on each other. It's Islamophobia, it's anti-Semitism, it's fear of the other, xenophobia. It's the whole thing with Brexit being of wanting Britain to become insular again, as opposed to working with its neighbours. That's the problem. That's what's causing all this fractious violence. It's not fucking
Mario Kart.
It's not Mario Kart. It's not GTA. Crass and crude and unfunny as GTA 5 is. I have serious problems with GTA 5 story.
I like it.
I
totally get. The
torture sequence in particular.
That's the only
in that game.
That's the only bit of the whole main campaign that really turned me off. Yeah,
fucking horrid. To the point, I honestly believe that GTA is a series now where it's the satire has come full circle. It's become what it was originally satirizing.
It's eating its tail.
Yeah,
it's South Park.
But GTA is not the cause of society. It's not causing violence in our society. What's causing violence in our society is the fact that the system we're living in is fundamentally broken, and the people in charge are sometimes unable, but mostly just fucking unwilling to fix it.
What I'm showing to Matt right now is statistics of 2019 mass shootings as of 3 days ago, based on each country. As you can see, there are only 6 countries that have had a mass shooting. We're looking at 11113, and then right at the bottom, 249 cases in the United States.
Yeah,
that's this year. That is less than 8 months into the year, and there are 249 reported incidents.
It's pretty fucking
mass
damning.
Shootings.
You look at the other countries like France. That's a surprise. Australia again. A surprise. No, not Australia. That's New Zealand. Because that was the Christchurch shooting. Again, surprising. Very surprising. Brazil. South America is a bit more volatile than the continent of North America. Canada, surprising. Not unusual for Canada. What's that? I don't know what that. I think that's Mexico.
Have a look.
I don't know.
I believe so. Yeah,
Mexico again. It's adjacent to the US. They've got border tensions. 3 mass shootings. 3. The United States of America is apparently the best country in the world. Doing great.
We're the greatest country in the world.
Best at everything. Best at killing each other.
Yeah.
249 mass shootings.
Yeah. That's... But I need a gun to protect me and my family against people with guns. Someone walks into the room, points a gun at a group of people.
You're not going to have time
Do you think the first person they shoot's going to be? The dude who's fucking around with a gun trying to get it out of their pocket. Well, I'll draw it quickly. Cool. So, like,
okay, cool.
So with no concentration or care, probably shoot a nearby bystander. Probably shoot yourself. Probably shoot the person with the gun. Sure, they have a gun, but then you've murdered someone. You're a murderer now. I was protecting everyone. You don't even know if they were going to use it. You don't know if it's loaded. How about we just take these fucking toys away from you, and then no one gets hurt?
Why don't we just keep them as toys?
Yeah.
Virtual toys that we play with.
There's a reason why the law enforcement are there. They're there to enforce the law.
Yeah.
I know there are problems within that system too. It's not perfect. But relying on the US police force to deal with people, with violent people, with gun crime, with people with guns, that 249 will plummet. It will plummet. And just... I'll never get it. We'll never understand why they feel it's so necessary when it comes to the American people who really want to keep them, because we've grown up in a country without them, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. What if all the bad guys over there suddenly got guns? They can't though. That's the point. They can't. People can get them here, but hey, since 2009 started, there hasn't been a mass shooting in the United Kingdom. So
there you go. I mean, here's the thing. We're politically fucked up as well.
There's
an awful lot of racial and religious tensions in the UK. But there's no mass shootings. Because there's no guns.
Should we end on a lighter note?
Let's go play Doom.
Yeah. And then later in the year we can watch a new film.
Tell me about the new film.
Breaking news while we've been recording.
Oh.
Apparently Disney's next live-action remake is The Great Mouse Detective.
Piss off. You're lying to me. You're lying to me.
It's come from inside the magic.
You are fucking lying to me.
Basil's going live-action, folks. Basil's going live-action. And we're going live-action. Away from the microphone.
What?
But if you'd like to get in touch, please do. You know where to get us on Twitter, @BigDamnCast. You can hit us up on Twitch for twitch.tv/BigDamnStream. We're going to be getting more of the big late night ones in again now. Not only that, of course, you can email bigdamncontact@gmail.com. And based on where you're listening right now, you can also hear the podcast on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. Until next week... Matt is just going to have to wrap his head around the Basil the Great Mouse Detective news.
Great Mouse Detective live-action remake! Alright. Cast me the gayest Ratigan you can. Come on! Bring it on! The most extra Ratigan. I need it in my life.